Have you ever been falsely accused in kindergarten, and then you got your folder signed? Well, instead of being accused of stealing another kid's pencil, imagine if you got accused for raping and killing a young girl and then sentenced to death. If this happened to you, wouldn't you want the truth to prevail? Well, so has every other victim of false testimonies throughout history. Namely, in autumn of 1983, in relatively discreet rural North Carolina, Henry McCollum and Leon Brown would find themselves linked to the murder and rape of 11-year-old Sabrina Bowie. Of course, they hadn't actually committed the crime. However, due to their disabled mental state, authorities were able to extract a confession, which ultimately served as primary evidence towards their conviction, and resulted in both of them being jailed for 3 decades. Now, Henry and Leon weren't initial suspects. That's where the power of false testimony is exemplified. All that it would take is a mere rumor reported by a high school student to catch the attention of the police.
It was made apparent here that one small false accusation can produce significant effects in the grand scheme of things. And because we're lawyers, we like to look at topics in retrospect. With that being said, we have to take a trip back to Salem, Massachusetts in the late 17th century, a time and place that can be associated with the Salem witch trials. Here too, the power of the false testimony would be proven, as any individual could be accused and tried of witchcraft by any other with no other supporting evidence to back up the claim other than their own words. To make matters worse, these convicts didn't solely face imprisonment as a result of these testimonies. Most of them would meet a demise at the hands of a noose.
Now, let's take a look at a much more recent example with the McCarthyism system. One major thing to note about 1950s America is the immense fear that communism would overshadow traditional American values, most importantly, freedom. However, it is this specific liberty that would be taken from the hands of the American people in an attempt to rid of existing communist presence and deter its expansion in the United States. Members of particularly federal agencies would be falsely accused of espionage with the only substantial supporting evidence convicting those accused being the fear of the spread of communist ideas.
I'm sure by this point you are all beginning to formulate a crucial connection, that false testimonies drove the consequences and sustaining presence of both the Salem witch trials and McCarthyism. It were these blatant lies that allowed the convicted to be executed in Salem and falsely imprisoned during the rise and spread of communism. And it were these lies that ruined Henry McCollum and Leon Brown's lives.
Through all of this, we have exemplified in detail false testimonies, including their devastating effects. But the most important takeaway from this message is the actions that can be taken by everyone to prevent further chaos at the hands of false accusations in the future. Remember that falsely testifying against someone, no matter what the motive is, and whether under the oath or not, is the single most evil and appalling action that can be committed by a witness. When you falsely testify, you are destroying the life, career, and opportunities that the innocent person possesses. So why don't you just tell the truth? After all, it is much easier to live with that than a lie. Thank you.